Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. American Lunchbox Podcast. You are in the room with the greats, by the way. This is Christopher. We also call him Chris.
Hello.
And I'm just Battle, at least for today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to American Lunchbox Podcast. We are so happy that you have decided to come back. First of all, before we even get started, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to all of those new viewers that we have and all of the new subscriptions, Chris. You know, it's something about knowing that someone is actually paying attention.
You like us. You really like us.
And you show your love by hitting the button and you subscribe and you keep telling your friends about us. And I told you guys a long time ago, I said, listen, this show is going to take off. It's going to be syndicated. It's going to be on everything. Watch what I'm telling you. This is no joke. This is no joke. American Lunchbox Podcast. And then there were two.
I mean,
yeah.
You're talking about my seating. It's kind of like three, but
yeah. Well, Chris, we're gonna let that slide. We're gonna let that slide. You know. Okay, so we got a good show for you guys today. This is episode 26, by the way, if you're counting, and we are heading to some good news. I believe. I think we can both agree that it's good news as we move forward. Somehow, I kind of thought that we were going to get here, but I must admit, I did have some kind of trepidation in regards to making sure that we could actually arrive at the reporting at the fact that you have a new president. Yes, and so do you, America. Now, if you're looking outside of America, yes, we participated in what will be our traditional inauguration.
Very traditional.
Inauguration on yesterday. And let's just say it was quite different from what we're used to seeing, Chris.
Yeah.
On that, I'm going to say cheers to the American people. Cheers to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I got my eye on both of you guys for the next 4 years. You know that already. But right now, we're just going to celebrate for them. Yeah, I got my traditional brown liquor and my scotch. And it's early in the morning. But who cares? What did you think about the inauguration? Did you see the inauguration?
Yeah, saw everything.
Saw everything. Well, I can't say that I saw everything,
yeah.
But I did see the majority of it. I'm one of those nerdy kind of people that could actually read an entire baseball game, or I can actually read an entire basketball game. I don't necessarily have to watch it,
yeah.
but
most people there were reading off a script, so I guess that's a good symbiotic thing.
Well, let's just talk about it. Because obviously there were a lot of differences in this inauguration than any before.
Yeah.
What was your general feel of what you were seeing and hearing, just in general?
You want the review first or the analysis?
The review first. I mean, what did you think about it? I mean, what did you find? Did you see anything that you liked that you didn't like? I mean, what was your take on it?
Well, okay. First, for anyone who doesn't know, which probably not many, is that there was no people there.
There were a few people. I mean, family of the participants.
Yeah. There was no fans of Joe Biden. Joe Biden's fans weren't allowed to go there.
Well,
there was a sea of flags in honor of the COVID victims.
Right. But do you guys know why there were no one there? Why were there no one there?
Well, I mean, you know, go on and say what you think.
Well, the reality is
because no one was allowed to be there.
Well,
no commoners were allowed to be there
for security purposes.
Yeah.
What happened about 2 weeks ago at the Capitol.
You're saying that when everyone has to follow a certain rule, elite people could still do whatever they want? You know, we saw a lot of hugging, handshaking, fist bumping going on. You can't go visit your nana at the funeral home. God forbid she dies of COVID.
Yeah, that's true. But this is a tradition that's going to take place.
So are funerals. Funerals are tradition. The only difference is these people are power enough to do what they want when the time comes.
So wait a second, Chris. Are you telling me that you have a problem with having an inauguration and people attend?
I just the people who are preaching about how you need to social distance and not shake hands and not hug. I mean, weren't doing that.
But again, hold on for a second. This is not a Christmas party at the Trumps. That's volunteer. This is actually something that is a part of the American history. Someone has to witness this. There are people that were there who were invited. They were told what to do. They had their masks. Some were social distance. At least outside in the audience. They were social distance. They were ushered. They were sitting in different areas. The folks that were behind were sitting as social distance as possible. They followed all the protocols
until it was time to hug.
Well, I guess you know what. I guess in this human experience, we want to show our gratification. We want to show our love, and I guarantee you, everyone was tested. That was back there.
That's true.
I guarantee you, 100%, everyone was tested. So, yeah, fuck it. They hugged. It was a moment.
Yeah, I just, you just see there's a certain rank that talking about hierarchy that happens with this group of people, and you could see it on full display between the inauguration and between the party last night. And the rank is this: it's all the inspirational little people at the bottom who are there to announce these people who used to be celebrities, or used to be the highest rung of celebrities, who are entertainers, and then those people are really there to introduce the real celebrities, or the political people. We saw it when I think Klobuchar said it perfectly. She said, "Oh, J-Lo's the warm-up act," and then Lin-Manuel Miranda, his speech rolled right into Biden's.
I think that Trump is just jealous that he couldn't get anybody to show up at his inauguration. That's all. I think
he had more people there than whoever was there yesterday. A bunch of flags in the field.
I think that Trump was just jealous that he couldn't get the celebrity A, B, or C listers.
Well, no, that's for sure.
To actually show up to a Trump.
There's a reason. Can I tell what the reason for that is?
Well, we all know the reason for it, but you can tell me what your reasoning is.
Here's what happens when you're here in La La Land, where we live. If you are pitching a script, and then the person loves your script, and then it's time to take. Let's see, we might make your script. It's a good script. I think Hollywood just shut us off after that one.
For those of you all who are listening, the lights.
I knew this day would come.
As Chris was talking, the lights went out. We had a little blackout here for a second. So, but we're back. We're back. Chris, please finish what you're saying.
It's the ghost of Harvey Weinstein shutting us down. Yeah. What happens here in Hollywood is that unless you're someone like Mel Gibson or someone who broke through and you're a guaranteed moneymaker, if you're just a young up and coming filmmaker, or creative writer, or whatever you want to call it, actor, it comes to a point where you have a script that you're pitching, and okay, hey, by the way, we're doing a fundraiser for the Hot Hand Democrat coming up, and you show up to there and you get along because that's what the boss man wants, and if not, you don't get the call back. So
we know it's some kind of we know that there is an in crowd that Hollywood has always patronized or pandered to, and it is very hard for any actor, producer, director to get on the big screen and have the big numbers.
Yeah,
but that's just how the game has been played.
Right. I guess it's just an affront to certain aspects of creativity or storytelling, which I care a lot about. And what happens in practice, you have these really talented people who are there, all pretty much represented themselves well, except Lady Gaga, who came off as like Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard, an emotional wreck. But she did good too with the singing, though. Everyone did a good job.
Shout out to Lady Gaga.
What happens is now you have people who might have ideas which are not exactly in line with the orthodoxy,
right?
But those ideas never make it to the surface. We're not even talking about actors who might just be empty vessels. No offense to actors, but no, you know what I'm saying.
And he is an actor, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like the stereotype is no. There's actors bring a lot of good stuff to the role, but they're not exactly writers. They're not creating the content which might hit the surface.
That's right.
Right, or the story arc. So what happens is, and this is why movies have gotten worse over the last 20 years. It's while the technologies around them has gotten better. It's that there's only certain stories that are allowed to be told.
That's right.
Because there's only certain kings, and those kings are not exactly like the record producers from the 60s. Whatever the kids want, give them that shit. You have to follow these orthodoxies on storytelling. And that's why a lot of this stuff sounds rhetorical. That's why a lot of the stuff you heard yesterday, even though it was diverse in the colors and the sexes and the genders of the people who were saying them, sounded similar. It's not diverse in terms of how they speak.
Well, let's talk about that, because we knew already that the theme of the inauguration was inauguration.
Can I say one more real quick thing?
Go ahead.
That I don't want it to be the other way around either. I don't want it to be that I have to make a a movie that looks like a country music video. I just think that if there was people in positions of power that had different ideologies or different fiefdoms or kingdoms of filmmaking, then they'd be competing over the best storytelling being told. And not be put in a place where everyone now is just parroting a party line, which now seems to be a superstructure, which the people are useful and the entertainers and the artists and the talented people are just in service to what is essentially messaging. And the platform, the rock that the storyteller would sit on, is only present if you are telling a certain story. So that's kind of my analytical beef I have with it. But other than that, everything, the performances were good.
And you're absolutely right. But again, it's this: you're telling the same story at a time where we're talking about censorship. We're talking about being able to have an opportunity to tell a different story other than what would be considered the status quo stories. We've seen countless amount of remakes. Whether it be, movie after movie, same thing.
Right.
They're sticking with
there's more Hollywood problems than just
exactly, but they're sticking with things that they know.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they trained the American people to expect less. So yeah, the new Spider-Man is coming, but that's the only thing that's coming, or the new Batman, so they keep us hyped on the same ideas versus introducing new ideas, and then when the new ideas come, we tend to enjoy them, but we then revert back to the same thing. We don't ask for more. We don't make it mandatory so that we get the new stories from what would be new talent.
It's a problem with the show structure as well, is that, you have a show that might start off hot or might be a new story, but by season 2 or 3, you're seeing, no offense to those who like this stuff, but the social justice stuff just creeps in. And then any show that goes on too long starts to resemble the messaging of every other show. The origin, though, if you got a good hot show that hits, it's really exciting. But you're right. It's not even just quality of storytelling. When Bruce Willis did that remake of Death Wish, I was so excited that there was a movie portraying guns in a positive light. The movie was pure shit.
Right.
But I was just so excited to actually, and that's why I even shy away from things like The Mandalorian. The questions I ask, I know I've heard it's good.
I heard it's good
But the thing
too.
is, the Star Wars stuff has been so bad.
Great.
The Star Wars stuff has been so bad, and then I'm asking questions like, but who's saying good? Is it those fanboys? Like when I went to go see, what was that, Suicide Squad? I went to see, there was people clapping when the opening credits started. They were dressed up in costumes. So I'm like, then I'm wondering, is it those marquee sort of fanboys that are telling me this is great? Or that's a side topic for another story.
Yeah, but speaking of which, what I noticed, the first thing I noticed about the site, and shout out to all of those folks who put this event together.
Yeah, beautiful
event. I'm talking about the fanfare side of it. It's beautiful. This with the fireworks and the performers, and Tom Hanks done a great job. It was just a beautiful sight. Absent, the human element, the people there. But I saw Vice President Harris, and the first thing I thought of is, who put the Joker outfit on her? I said, wait, is that? She looks like the Joker. I couldn't tell if the color was purple. Yeah. Help me out, people. Put it in the comments. Let me know. I couldn't tell if she was wearing purple or dark blue, but it looked, I swear, if she had the makeup on her face, I would think she was emulating the Joker.
We just had one Joker president. Now we're going to have another. Wait, she also does have the laugh, too.
She has the laugh. She has the laugh. So I that was the first thing I noticed about the whole thing. As they were walking up, I was staring and I was saying, did she step out of a Prince video or something? It's just like, what happened? Or was she paying homage to some kind of color? But on screen, it looked like, a very dark.
Yeah, well, she almost
purple.
She almost bit the dust.
Yeah, man, that would have been.
I was like, whoo! She saved herself after that.
Yeah, man. Aside from missing that fall, not making that fall, thank God. And obviously seeing your past president fall asleep back there, that wasn't a cute sight either.
I guess that goes more into Biden's speech and the messaging of the whole thing.
Yeah,
which was unity.
Unity was a
certain type of unity.
That's what I was getting to.
I would say it was more peace through submission unity. Where have we heard that before?
Well, listen.
Arkadaja.
Listen. Now, Chris just called me by my name, Arkadaja. He's being a little cynical right now. but we're gonna roll with this. So with the with the with the this guy.
Arcade.
Hey man, keep over there, dude.
That's
ladies
true.
and gentlemen, we have this COVID thing here for a reason. This dude is
That's true. I totally hypocritically violated the COVID
Get out of
shield.
here, man. We got the COVID shield, bro. I don't know where you've been all week, bro. Okay, so listen. So now when we look at the details of the inauguration, I was impressed by the young lady. Her name was Amanda Gorman, and she was the young girl who came up and did the poetry. The poetry has been a staple, Angela. She did a great job. I was impressed with her speech, her poetry. She wrote it herself, and she illustrated herself very well as she was doing it. Very, very impressed with her. It was a great sense of pride seeing this young lady really show America how and what to sound like, during these times creatively. I think that was a great creative piece that she did. Speaking of that, what do you think of that, by the way? Do you got some shit to say?
No offense to your beautiful speech,
You
poetic
got some
speech,
shit.
but I almost fell asleep like Bill Clinton right now.
Well, then what do you got? You have something to say about the young lady who said the great poetry?
Well, since I already threw my Hollywood career away in my last 5 minutes, here we go. Do you particularly like it when a kid is preaching to an adult?
Kid is not preaching. She's actually reciting poetry. It's not preaching.
Poetry is a high art, but if it was that good, would people pay for it? Wouldn't people pay for poetry? Wouldn't there be a poetry industry?
Actually, there is a poetry industry. They're in books.
Oh, they are?
Do you read often, sir?
There
are actually poetry books.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there are awards for people who actually they're actually Nobel Peace Prize.
This is more poetry. Critique of the poetry than the girl, but something about that's why I kind of like stand-up comedy, because it's self-deprecating, and there's something about poetry that is like the person who writes the poem is like morally righteous, and I just like, honestly, when people are willing to look inside themselves and tear themselves down instead
ladies and gentlemen,
cry about how smart they are compared to the rest of the society.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a great piece.
It was a great poem.
Great
I'm just saying,
poem.
I don't know if poetry's that great, George.
I don't know what this guy.
To use your poetic name.
This guy. To be honest with you, he's considered more creative than I am in this. He's the creative.
I'm launching an attack on your capital, George.
But yet he's over here crumbing on.
Got my grappling hook. I'm climbing over the COVID shield.
Well, you're lucky I'm having this liquor right now, I swear. So let's talk about how we're going to move forward. But before we do that, let's jump into what's going on with you.
Oh.
Yeah. How was your week today, yo?
All right, here we go again.
What happened? What happened?
I have an update on the situation from last week with the Venice fire.
Okay. What's the update? What happened?
Okay. Well, here's what the investigators were there, and the trucks were there for like days afterwards. Talking like 5 days afterwards. Here's a picture of what the building currently looks like. I will show the audience as well. George, if you could describe what you're seeing here.
What the hell? Is that the same building that caught fire?
That was the same building.
I don't understand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna post this on our Facebook, Instagram, so you all can see it. So by the time you hear this, you'll be able to go online. But this building is annihilated. It looks like a bomb went off. What the hell happened? What did you hear?
I don't know much about the deconstruction of the building, but I heard a couple things. Okay. I don't know what's verified or what, but talking to people who were there on the ground, saw some of the stuff happen. Word of mouth, keep that in mind, but okay. First thing is, how was the fire so big? From what I understand, the fire department broke out one of the windows maybe too soon, which created a backdraft, which made the fire grow. Okay. People were there live to see it happen.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you were at the fire stuff. There's certain ways to fight the fire, and it might have been that they fought it not in the most appropriate way. or might have had it done something in an emergency to save the building next door. Or something happened. I don't know.
Well, they knew that building. From what I understand, they knew that building was not going to make it. So the next thing is to protect property around it, and so it becomes a surround and soak. That's what we call it, surround and soak. We don't actually approach the building. We just throw fire on it and keep everything doused around it so it doesn't spread. There is no reason, unless there was someone in the building, to even go into the building. So I doubt that very seriously that someone actually went inside the building when they confirmed that it was vacant. So there's no reason for a firefighter to even go into the building to break a window.
Okay. Yeah, just what I heard in the
Now, did you hear this from the people that were in the homeless encampment themselves? Or?
People who, oh no, they had some other stuff to say though. So okay, here's the.
All right, let's hear about it. Now, this is more juicy than the inauguration. Shit.
Please, I'd appreciate if no legal and/or illegal.
Is this a disclaimer?
Groups or
is this a disclaimer? Oh shit! Here we go. Here's a disclaimer.
Groups show up to ask me questions about
this guy. Go ahead.
People talking. Okay, so the building was abandoned before this. Now, there was a homeless encampment next to it. And obviously, the blame is going to go on the fact that you have just people living messy lives outside of a empty building. It's a tinderbox situation.
It is.
Maybe it's just the homeless not wanting to be beat up on, or maybe what they're saying is true. But what is true...
But they're not going to take responsibility. We know that already. They're not going to take responsibility. If they're not going to take responsibility for their own lives, who's going to say that they're going to take responsibility for actually starting a fire?
What is true in L.A. in general right now, it's been going on with the rise of the homeless crisis, is that you will see tagging on the ground next to and under tents in these different encampments. And the tagging that's on the ground here, I'm not sure if you can see it in that picture, is from...
Now, tagging is when you spray paint or you put some type of emblem or, imaging on the ground.
Yeah, and in this case, the reason for that is because local gangs have been charging tariffs, and it's not news. This is not breaking news, but they've been charging taxes to the homeless community, and there's drug dealing involved and stuff like that as well. But there are people you'd think they're living for free. They're actually paying rent to some of the potentially most violent people in our society, which makes the situation all the more dark and depressing. My local block is quote unquote owned by a certain gang that wears blue. That's pretty notable. Not the Democrats, the other one.
The other gang.
Yeah. Now, there are other gangs that are making plays for turf at some point. Gangs who you might know that have some numbering in their name that are from El Salvador, which this is no surprise to anyone around here. I mean, you remember my old place. I had it written on the side of my building.
I do remember the old place over in Inglewood, I believe.
No one's ever given me a problem, but I have heard stories like neighbors having knives pulled them and stuff like that. Like, I've also heard stories where, there was a guy in the neighborhood who raped a girl and they killed the rapist. Urban legends like that. So the thing to remember, though, is that a killer going to kill. There's no one worth killing at the moment. Someone's getting killed. Mm-hmm. What the homeless were accusing is that there is a turf war going on between who controls the different homeless encampments. And that the conspiracy theory that's floating around in their little community is that this fire was, quote unquote, not them, but quote unquote, the people who hurt them.
Wow. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. There's an organized underbelly.
Alleged.
Allegedly. In Venice. And
don't look at my colors today. This is not emblematic.
This guy is wearing blue today.
Doing it for protection purposes.
He's wearing blue today, but he's not talking about the blue that he's wearing. He's talking about the other blue.
Yeah.
And he's not talking about the Democrats.
I'm just repeating what I heard. I'm not going into specifics. This is not pointing anyone individually out, but that's the reality of living here at the moment, unfortunately. I don't think people fully understand what it's been going on before the cops were defunded. So I'd like to say, this is what happens when they get defunded, but it's actually more of a long ongoing issue out here.
Well, I tell you what, I would like for you to continue to report on this, but I don't want you to be involved in it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going.
And then there were one.
I'm not going any deeper into this
So
one. Honestly.
let's just
The rumor on the street. That's all it is.
Let's stay out of this situation. Let's stay out of this situation. We're thank you for giving us the insight. I think people are now more close to YouTube, or most close to their phones and everything, listening to this last segment about what's going on in Venice than they were about the inauguration. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the last 24 hours of Trump and then the first 2 hours of Biden. What do you say?
I'll say it's nice knowing you.
About.
Nice knowing you, and we'll be back. Hopefully, I'll be back too.
Yeah, the guy who's wearing blue. Pardon me, said Trump. All right? So in the last 24 hours of the Trump presidency,
Or abortion.
Well, yeah, I listen, man. It's the liquor. But anyway, the last 24 hours of him being in the White House, he decided to do what most presidents do. This is not something that is different from any other president.
Declare martial law?
Aside from the pillow guy. The pillow guy idea was not the idea we're going to go with. What is his name? What was the guy's name?
I just call him my pillow guy.
The My Pillow
pillows
guy
I've
shows
heard are
up at the
fantastic.
White House days before the end of his presidency with papers clearly revealing that
Secret plan.
is the stupidest thing I ever saw in my life, stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Like mainstream media is not going to pick this up with a Zoom camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Last 24 hours is not unusual. It's not untypical for a president to do what Trump did. Basically, he did the pardons, and he pardoned I think 147 people
And commuted. Pardons and commutes.
Yeah, pardons. Yes, correct. And it was about 147. Some of which
The commutation is just when you slash whatever's left on the sentence.
Yeah.
Or lower a sentence. And a pardon is a full. Does a pardon admit guilt? Or is that just you're free, this never happened?
No, a pardon, what it does is I think it just releases them from whatever sentence that they are currently in. It doesn't admit guilt, and usually.
Right, but if you're signing off that you're released of the charge, you're also admitting.
And they don't get released right away, by the way. They don't get released. It's not instant. They get a release date, and they go through the whole process.
Oh, okay.
It's not like they say, oh, yeah, we're going home. No, it's not like that. But some of the more famous one was Lil Wayne, who's a rapper.
It was a gun charge because he had a felony for guns. I think it's ridiculous that you can't own guns or vote after you've served your time to society.
Yeah.
So
hence those 13 people who went into the Capitol, federal crimes. They're not going to have guns.
Yeah. I mean, besides my opinion on the gun laws, I mean, that stuff like that is good. It was a lot of non-violent drug offenders. I mean, it's not like Lil Wayne's going around shooting people. He's a celebrity that wants to protect himself.
That's
It's
right.
The purpose for guns to protect
That's right.
yourself. It's not
Also,
to kill other
another
people.
celebrity,
Sometimes
famous Miami rapper Kodak Black.
Yeah.
He also got some kind of intervention as well in his sentence.
Well, that was another gun-related charge, is that he filled out the application wrong. Those applications say weird things like where exactly were you born. Sometimes you forget. I'm not sure what he wrote wrong, but it's pretty scary filling out some of those paperwork. Some of them are vague as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sending someone to jail they're saying he knowingly misled.
Well, that's what they're saying. And
again, why do we have all these rules about this in the first place? It is not a privilege to own a gun. It is a right.
Right. It is. Listen, you're tooting the same horn here. I totally agree. And by the way, both of those celebrities voluntarily turned themselves in. They were not picked up by federal agents or anything. They went out. They went in there on their own recognizance. So, with that being said, they too will be pardoned and released. But there were also, what's more importantly for Trump is who he did not pardon, who was not on the list. That would be Rudy Giuliani. That would be obviously all of the Trump family, sons, daughters.
Well, there's no pending charges against them, is there?
But
there's just investigations.
Investigations. And we know already that there's a big one down in New York for Trump right now.
Right.
And we don't know who they're going to indict, and we don't know who's going to be involved.
Right.
So,
Well, that lady ran on, the DA in New York ran on getting Trump. So, I mean, that's malice in the first place. So that's hurting
not
her
if there's
own
a crime.
lawsuit.
Not if there's been a crime committed. If there's a crime committed, then there's no malice.
She didn't know what the crime was. She just ran on getting Trump. I mean, you could
what do you
assume the crime.
Are we talking about the same president?
No, we're talking about the DA in Manhattan. And she ran on getting Trump.
You talking about ran for
Ran
DA?
for office. I'm going to get him.
Right.
We'll figure something out. It's not hard to do with Trump.
I'm about to say the same thing. I mean, come on, man. I mean, well, at any event, Trump did again what most typical presidents
He didn't. Well, besides all that stuff, which people said he was going to do.
Yeah,
which he didn't
they
do.
said he was going to blow up the whole
fear mongering thing that didn't happen. But I guess the problem I had with Trump for a lot of the time, even from the beginning, was he wasn't really big on the Fourth Amendment, right? Privacy and stuff like that. He yelled and screamed when his privacy got violated. But Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are still in there. Those guys didn't get pardoned.
No, well,
It
Congress
looks a little silly pardoning rappers, but not those guys.
Well,
It's
Congress
just not very powerful.
Congress specifically asked him not to do those two.
Right, but they also, what does he owe to them? He just, it's so weird when he listens and when he doesn't. Like, also the people who were rioting didn't get pardoned because his cabinet said not to. But then you hear that he's also at war with them. So it's like, it's just the power of being the last one in the room to give opinion to someone, really.
Yeah.
Joe Exotic didn't get pardoned.
Joe Exotic. Who is exactly Joe
Mr.
Exotic?
Tiger King. He's still
the
in
Tiger
there.
King. Is that the one with all of the zoos and people plotting to take each other down because he had a bigger cat than I had a cat? And
Yeah. He was,
Tiger King.
22 years for
Netflix.
attempted murder. Lawyers are saying they got a lot of evidence to say that it was a setup. He did a lot of stuff other than the attempted murder, though. So, I mean, some of it is like political. You want to have a good face on the way out.
Of course. But why? Why you want to have a good face now? Why?
Yeah.
I think, again, dear white people, a little too late.
Well, maybe it was a deal saying, hey, Senate, don't convict me on that impeachment charge so I could come back later, maybe, and I won't free these guys to send a bad message that Republicans,
Maybe.
like Democrats, free the rioters and pay their bills.
But again, who would listen to that deal when there was no one would listen to
No one has
deal.
to honor that deal at this point.
Yeah. So Trump leaves office. Biden steps in, right? Biden steps in and decides that in the first 2 hours, he's going to sign 17 executive orders, some of which simply undo, right, what Trump had already done. Again, this is not new, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very typical of every single president when a regime changes.
Yeah.
We know that Trump did the same thing on his first day. But notably, one of some of the things that Biden did was he rejoined the climate control group from Paris. He rejoined that because, Trump decided that American people didn't need any representation in that group.
Or that we didn't want to abide by rules that the other countries wouldn't, more stringent rules.
Right? So we rejoined. Then we also rejoined the
WHO, which, again, we paid more for than other people. That's the thing. Some of the things that Trump did, you shouldn't just throw out the baby with the bathwater. I mean, especially if you're talking about unity. You can't say unity, but then good thing we got rid of that evil ideology, right? Aren't we all unified now? I mean, this is another case where it's like, if he did some good stuff, keep it. Keep the good stuff. Don't throw it out. Now, maybe the way he pulled out in the world stage, I totally get that. We want to show off as a first world country, not a third world country.
And that's the whole point. With being a first world country, we set precedents. We set precedents and we set standards. Yeah. And if you want
but bad deals are also bad deals.
Bad deals are bad deals.
Be
absolutely. But even
deals.
bad deals.
That was the whole point Trump got elected.
Even bad deals, right, brings us together. At least there's a conversation that we can say, okay, this is a bad deal,
Yeah.
but let's make it better. But when we
Right.
say now, when we exile ourselves, when we say
Yeah.
we're not going to be a part of this, it takes us out of the conversation.
It's the
and you're
prob-
right. It was
Yeah.
some of that stuff was a bad deal.
But that's the thing. If you never have guts to walk away from a bad deal, you come up with these weird deals that we're gonna do this. Well, everyone will chip in, and in a 10-year scale. 10 years.
10 years.
Send them the bill tomorrow. Germany, they have a tremendous economy. There's no reason they can't pay for stuff. So like things like that, when Trump was saying on a strictly business level, it made sense. It's just
I think
the way
that-
he did it wasn't so smooth.
I think that the American
Not smooth
people
at all.
and I think that America, traditionally, now you can agree with this or you can disagree with this.
And by the way, real quick, let us know, like, if you disagree with something that my host here is saying, our host here, please, like, drop an email. Tell him why you disagree or agree. Same with me.
Send him an email. Send him
Yeah.
put it in the comments, because what I was saying is that, listen, whether you agree or disagree with this, and this is has been the American way. United States has always taken a parental approach to the world, whether we like it or not. It allows us as the superstructure to then provide the terms and conditions. So, with that being said, instead of eating off the plate, we actually produce the plate and the food. Now, this is the American way. It is the American way, and it allows America to always keep their position. So, when we talk about walking away, when we're talking about not being involved, we're allowing what would be the other countries, right, to take on this position. And we believe that if we're going to be involved, United States, we can do it a certain kind of way. I'm not saying it's better or worse, by the way.
Here's the other devil's bargain realization thing about it is that as much as I like to get us pulled out of all these foreign wars immediately and be a little more isolationist just to work on our own problems, the amount of inflation that we've had in the last year due to COVID is ridiculous. And we got China coming up with their financial system. So we're already in threat. And I guess the real problem, and the thing that cuts against my own personal ideologies here, is that the dollar at this point as the world currency is only being held up because of the fact that we're there, which is really screwed up. But unfortunately, it's the position that we are currently in, which is, if we were to truly retreat from the world stage, even for the purposes of, de-empiring like what Britain did, just to make sure we're sustainable for the future, the problem is that dollar now shows how valueless it is without trading posts around the world in order to keep trading it. And unfortunately, the inflation is at a point where it's a devil's bargain. If we're not staying in these places, the dollar could crash faster than it's on pace to do so.
Now, the alternative, obviously, well, not obviously, but the alternative to this is to allow the American people, because what happens is when there's a large influx of dollars that are put into the economy, in other words, when the mint just makes money, the mint just prints.
Which has happened a lot in the last year with this.
Well,
COVID.
But I would say that the constituents of the congressmen and congresswomen all hear from us that we need help. So here's where it gets kind of sticky. What kind of help do you need? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we need financial help because of what's going on with this virus. We didn't create the virus. We're just suffering from it being here. Because of the lack of the last administration,
or the rules that got put into place on a local level, screwed economies.
Again, and this is the part here where we go back to people taking responsibility. We go back to people saying, "I fucked up on this part, but I'm going to do better." And when someone can say that, at least we can put blame where it's supposed to go. When you pretend like you had nothing to do, when you pretend like this virus is not real, when you pretend like, hey, you know what, we're going to get over this quick and fast, it's not as bad as we think, but then behind closed doors you say, this shit is really bad. Then that's how we get in situations now where the dollar is as weak because we were not properly prepared for it economically.
I think
Now-
it's trending weak anyway.
Yeah. Well, actually, say it again.
I mean, it's trending. The inflation, the amount of dollars we're producing was high even before this
Yes,
year.
it
It's
was.
just that it got much higher. It spiked
Absolutely,
much
but
higher,
at
which
least
is
there was
alarming.
there was a balance though, because the economy was
Right.
good. The
It
economy
spiked
was
faster
doing well.
than we were on pace to.
It was gonna, yeah, but that's okay in regards to, because
Yeah.
as long as we have a strong economy, the dollar will basically remain. It'll fluctuate, but it won't be any high spikes or spiking lows. It'll just be here, and it's okay. We
Right.
don't have to be number one. We don't have to be the euro. We just have to be present, and we have to be consistent.
Well, the thing is that currency is sometimes tied to culture. So
Always tied to culture.
yeah. So the thing is, when you're using our money, you're learning our language and our ideals. It's at the point where they're predicting now in 2028 that China is going to become the biggest world economy.
yeah,
And
well-
there are repercussions to that.
Well, when China is lending money to the world, already.
Yeah.
I was that trillions of dollars to Brazil, trillions of dollars to Africa, trillions of dollars. They're building, they're building cities like Uganda.
People are afraid, that you're going to have to learn Chinese. Honestly, you might have to start learning it just to know the language of your enemy. This is going to get weird in the next 10 or 15 years.
Facts. I mean, because whoever controls the money, whether you like it or not, controls the conversation. They're the ones who are going, and we owe China so much money already.
That's why George is the host of this show.
Oh, get out of here, man. Get out of here. So, now, executive orders. Some of those executive orders that Biden also put into action was in regards to the coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
One of which was all federal buildings. If you're at a federal park, if you're in Yosemite right now, then you should be wearing a mask. If you go into any federal building or structure in the country, it is mandatory that you wear a mask.
This is what people don't understand about the president having limited powers. It's like all the stuff I control, people gonna wear a mask in, and it's like 0.1% of the landmass of the country.
If you got to go down and get your Social Security card,
Yeah.
if you're missing your GR check, then you got to go in there with a mask, ladies and gentlemen. But my point is that when the last time you've been to the Social Security office?
Yeah. Well,
When the last time my point is that who cares? If you're going to do things like this, I understand that you're setting a precedence. You want to make sure that people understand that you're serious, but you don't really have to do this.
right.
This is a waste of signature, Joe.
Yeah, it's
You're already starting to piss me off. It's a waste of signature, Joe.
Yeah, it's just it's.
We already do this at the post office. We wear a mask at the post office already. That's the closest thing you're gonna get. We go to DMV, we're gonna wear a mask. How about open DMV? That'll help for us. How about open the federal buildings?
Mm-hmm.
Then we can wear a mask in them. But if we're sitting on the lawn, who cares? Come on, Joe. Come on, man. Come on, man. But then there's some other things in regards to the coronavirus as well. He already has signed off $2 trillion in funding. We don't know exactly what that is going to,
something racial.
Why not? Fuck yeah.
Could this be one of the most racist administrations we've had? Openly racial, like obviously our last administration was
equality. No,
obviously our last administration was racially insensitive. But could this be one of the most, in terms of policy, racist or racial preferential administrations we've had in the last 50 years?
No, that would be the first 46, actually. Or the first. I'm sorry. Let's see. The first.
Back. Did
all
Trump
those
have
were
any
racial, all those
policies?
were racial.
Did Trump
It
have
was
any
racial
policies
against black people?
Did Trump have any policies that used racial language in the policy?
Yeah, actually, they just passed the last stimulus package that he did sign.
It said white people are going to get what? What did it say?
It didn't say white people were going to get anything.
Right. Well, you're saying that all the policies in general have been so racist that's why this.
No. I didn't say that. I'm saying up until you said racist, right? And my assumption is that you're talking about
policies
racist policies.
All the policies
and I'm saying I'm saying up until 1964.
Yeah.
Right. There was one big racist policy. It was a voting policy that prevented black people from being able to vote. That is a racist policy.
And that was wrong, correct?
It was wrong.
Here we are.
It was very wrong. So when we talk, so therefore, how many years did it take for that to be corrected? How many years did it take for that to be right?
Oh, so you're saying we need 200 years of
I say we need as many years.
policy?
I say we need as many years as it takes to level the playing field for everyone, so that the true essence of the words, pursuit of happiness, will mean for everyone. Why not?
So I think
Why
George
not?
just proved my argument is that because
Why not?
because people are so inspired by the racism, they don't see it as racism, but it is.
You can't have the oppressor. You can't oppress the oppressor. In other words, you can't, how can you have an argument when you're in control, when you are the one who's overarching the racism in government and in policy?
Right, but policies affect everyone, and you know that
You
guy down the
cannot
block that
oppress-
happens to be white
You
is
cannot
not an
oppress
oppressor.
the oppressor.
You know the random white guy down the block that makes 20 grand a year is not an oppressor.
Yes, but he participates.
So do
He
you
participates.
participate in the same system.
But differently. I participate differently than he could.
You actually probably make more money than that guy.
That's not the point. Again, when we talk about income, we're talking about earning. We're talking about hard working. We're actually talking about being. We're talking about
shit.
actually being
I
able.
think you know who heard my argument from earlier.
Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. We're
Having
looking.
some Venice Beach issues here at the moment.
You all right over there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Venice Beach, very equal place. No one even knows what race they are. No one knows what day it is. No one knows what time it is.
Listen.
No one knows who the president is. I saw very hardly many even campaign flags for either. Well, for the side.
What, you saw some bush flags out there? or
Actually,
something? You saw
here's
some bush-
how I kind of predicted. I should have said it here because now it sounds like what I'm saying is fake. But I kind of predicted how the election was going to go.
Okay.
And I said it was going to be. I don't know if you remember, but if anyone out there remembers, I said I think it's going to be Biden by a close. And the reason why, this is completely hocus pocus what I did. Someone in Venice actually put up a Trump flag. And it seemed like it was up long enough for the wind to wrap it around a couple times around the pole. I said, my God.
He's doing that shit, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing that shit.
So what happened is I said, I'm going to come back in a day or two. If that flag is torn down, I know Biden's going to win. But if that flag is up, Trump is going to win. And I went down and it was torn down violently. It looks like someone ripped it down in a hurry.
And that's how you knew.
And then one more
And that's
thing.
how- and that's-
we
and that's how
never
you
mentioned on
knew.
the show.
Biden was going to win
Yeah.
by a close margin.
That's how I knew.
That's that Venice. That's that Venice Beach getting to you, man.
Yeah.
Your people right now in Queens saying, "Who is sitting in this chair? Right? Who is sitting this?"
Yeah.
If you listen to this right now, you're in Queens. Please put the note down there and say, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy right now?"
That's how I predicted it.
All right. So moratoriums on evictions. By the way,
Speaking of.
all right.
That
Moratoriums
illegal-
on evictions
that
while we're
illegal
still going
hostel
through.
out
So
there.
that's important to the American people as well.
Okay.
Also, too, we had some student loans. That affects me. You know, so all the student loans are still a pause while we're going through this as well.
Student loans.
Bro,
I know you look young, but
Yo.
student loans.
just because you were able to pay off all of yours, man.
Well, I was living in a building that's tagged, you know what, on the side of it.
Yeah. But what we're going to do, and I'm going to say this very, 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 very pointedly. I have my eye on you, Joe and Kamala, as we move forward in the next coming days, years to come. It's going to be the responsibility for me to applaud you, which is what I'll do. And it will be also the ability for me to be able to tell you when you have done something that has been ill.
Yeah, and I'm not going to just talk trash. In fact, I have an idea that I'm going to actually write a letter to Biden. It's just a policy thing.
I see. That's it. I love this.
Part of it was something I thought of sending to Trump because I thought with the messy way that administration ran, that a rando like me would actually get a letter through. There's also my history of the last time I sent a message to a federal official didn't work out so well. It's a story for another episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was listening to this story and I couldn't believe it. Knock, knock, knock. That's a story for another day. This was many years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sitting, we're talking. He said, "You wouldn't guess who
Yeah.
guess who showed up for dinner last night."
No, well, that'll be a teaser for another time.
Jesus Christ.
But no, like all jokes aside, seriously, I'm gonna write a letter.
That's very white of you, Chris. I love it.
My hopes are honestly low. I think with this administration, they have a certain narrative where the last one kind of didn't and would take random responses. So it's not an ideological thing. It's just to say, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to put this out there into the ether, and we'll see what happens.
Man, listen, I'm excited about it. Honestly, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to shit on it, but I am excited about it, and what I'm hoping for is that we can report on your letter and see what you get back. If that's
I'll read it. I'll read it right here.
Read it right here. Send it off and see if we get a response. And if we do, we'll let you guys know. And I would encourage you guys as well. You know, this is your ability to be proactive in government. So don't hesitate. You know, Chris is doing the right thing here. I mean, and you know, let's start this shit off right. You know, let's start making this, you know, our government again.
Yeah. Hey, look, we know progressives are going to be making a run on Biden. So conservatives out there, don't just sit there upset about this. Go bang on his door. Not like last time.
Wow. You heard that? See? Blue and bang on doors. He's showing you his true colors today, ladies and gentlemen. He's showing you his true colors, you see? There it is. I've been saying this the whole time. But listen, we're going to do something different today. You know, we're going to do something different today. We typically at the end of the show, we give out shouts. We do shout outs. But today, we're going to do something different. We're going to say cheers to, all right? Because we got our drinks here. And so do you have anyone you want to cheer today?
Yeah, real quick one. I disagreed with him on a lot of stuff. I agreed with him on some stuff too. But cheers to President Trump, not for any policy thing and not for any of his behavior. But, well, actually, kind of, because here's the thing. As crazy acting as Trump is, we live in a time in which it's better to go along to get along. And we actually were joking last week about the tech places and almost like this chapter in American history was called Beta Males Unite. But you have someone. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, those people out there are taking the inspiration because they don't care what the repercussion is for screaming, whatever. And there was a repercussion for Trump in his mouth and his words and his actions. But you know what? There's a red letter media always says about movies. You might not have realized it, but your brain did. And I just wonder if there's a bunch of young people out there who are fed this like line of like go along to get along, and this is the ideology that we have in the schools at the moment. If they didn't see, someone might have seen him on TV and said, you know what, he's an asshole, but you know what? He said what he wanted. And he did what he wanted. And in this era where people don't, like, to a lot of people, that might be refreshing in ways that you don't realize. I mean, even, this sounds weird, but all these women who ran for Congress in defiance of Trump in that 2018 midterm.
That's true.
He inspired them to do that.
He inspired them. Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have to agree with him, but there was somewhat of the American spirit in him, which is undeniable.
Yeah, and
now he's going to pay the price for it, unfortunately.
And I'm going to say the same thing in that, you know, Trump. What I liked about Trump is that he stuck to his base, even though I disagreed with a lot of it. He never ever budged from his base. What he said he was going to do, he was going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with it. Didn't agree with it, but you know, I say to him, hey, kudos for sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
You know, and get the fuck out of here, though. Cheers.
Cheers. What about you?
Well, listen, I just want to say cheers to the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. You know, you guys need to show us what you can do. You know, now that you got there, you know, let's make it happen. Let's consider all people. Let's consider justice. Let's consider all those things that got us to this point, and let's move forward. It's a new day. It's a new day, a new year on the horizon. And let's make it good for all the American people in the world. So cheers to them, you know. All right, well, listen, thank you guys. This is episode 26. Yeah. You know, we want to thank you guys for coming. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, of course. Also to like, comment. We want them all. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you download that episode as well. We do get credit for that. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for all the new views and all the downloads. Cheers.
Cheers.